going to be learning about some Python basics. But first, don't forget to subscribe and give a like. So let's get started. First, you should go to replit.com and create an account. Great for coders who want to code but don't have the resources. Create a new REPL with the language Python and name it what you want. And then hit create REPL. Let your REPL load and then you're ready to go. So the first thing we'll go over is variables. To define a variable, you just type the name of the variable and then equals, and then you can set it to something. You can use strings, dictionaries, arrays, lists, any data type, or sets, or groups, anything. And best practices for when you're defining variables are to always make the first letter lowercase, and then if you want it to be multiple words, make the start of the next word uppercase. And then you can set it to something. I'll set it to this string, saying string. Okay, we can use that variable in a print statement. And then if we run our code, it prints string. But now let's try and get some user input. So we'll change string to input and put a prompt of put something in. And then now when you run the code, it'll ask us to put something in. I'll put string and it prints string. Now let's see how we can do string interpolation. I want to say you put what a variable is in. To do this, there's two ways. We can start off by saying you put space in. And now when you run it, let's say 8. Okay, another way to do this is much easier and my preferred way. Put an F, which stands for formatted, and then in here, you put in, then curly braces, and put a variable inside of those. So now you don't have to add any strings together. Okay, now let's do some for loops. The easiest way to do a for loop is for I in range. You pass in a number, like 100, but we'll go at 10. And then I'll say print I. I is a variable which will be 1, which will first be 0, then 1, then 2, and so on. And it starts at 0, so it only goes up to 9, which is 10 numbers. For this, we can specify we want it to start at 1 by saying 1, 10. But this still only prints the 9 numbers because it does 10 minus 1, the first 9. To change this, you can do 11. And you can add a third, which will say 3, so we'll say counting by 3s. So it starts with 1, goes to 4, then 7, then 10. Okay, great. Now let's do while loops. While loops are a lot like a combination of a for loop and an if statement. So we'll start off with while, and then we'll say a variable is not equal to nothing. Print a variable. And we can do nested while loops. So we'll put while true, meaning repeat this until the end of time. And we'll copy this code and move it in. And then this code already mentions a variable, so we'll do command slash or control slash on Windows. That automatically comments them. Okay, put something in 8. See, so now I put something in, and since it's a variable's not empty quotation marks, it just keeps printing what I put in. That's horrible for your code because it'll keep on running and probably crash your computer, so never do that. Okay, now let's move on to conditionals. And if a variable is equal to something, print something. So now if I run my code again, and go all the way down. Okay, if I put in something like this, it says something. If I don't put in something, it does nothing. We can add an else statement to print something. And it says not something. Okay, now we know some of the basics of Python, and we'll continue learning about more in the next video. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.